Now, here's Paul Metsa.
And I wish I could see stars over the prairie, stars over the prairie tonight.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul Metsa, host of Stars Over the Prairie. We're just doing a 1 hour and a half radio today because we got Bulldogs football on 11:30. But we got a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking to Nicole from Animal Allies. I am celebrating my birthday on Friday, November 1st. I'm a diehard Scorpio, and I want to invite all my Scorpio friends and dog and cat loving friends to come down to Carmody's Pub on Friday, November 1st. I will be holding forth with my new band, Paul Metsa, the Tiltown Titans, with special guest Al Oikery from the Big Boo, and a great Northern Minnesota singer-songwriter Christopher David Hansen, who's going to be sitting in and playing some of his own songs as well. We start at 6 p.m. down there at Carmody's, which is at 308 East Superior Street, and it is a benefit for Animal Allies. Just a wonderful humane shelter up there located right by the Duluth Airport. So we're going to be talking to Nicole. She is the one of the big shots up there, and she's going to let us know what goes on. But so that's the big show. We're going to be talking about that more today. It's a gorgeous day in Duluth. It's going to be a big dog park day for myself, Blue, and my little foster dog, Mabel, who's loving. I don't know, we got her on a short little leash from a front yard that was really full of beer cans and litter, and I don't know if she's ever really had the opportunity to run around and enjoy the outdoors like she is living with Paul and Blue. But we're going to be doing some dog stuff this afternoon. I might mow the lawn one more time just because I've got my lawnmower fixed. But we are broadcasting on Stars Over the Prairie. Why do we call it Stars Over the Prairie? Because we interview stars, people that want to be stars, people that used to be stars, people that just go outside at night and look at the stars. And we actually have a star on the show today. I'm going to be replaying an interview I did with Minnesota-born Tab Lavin, just a phenomenal guitar player about my age, who found his way. He played with Mary McGregor, found his way down in Nashville with her, and by hook or by crook, and a great story that he's going to tell. Ended up playing guitar with Art Garfunkel, of course, from Simon & Garfunkel, for the last, over a decade. And just a great guy. We had a lot of friends in common when we chatted. You're going to enjoy that. And then we've got some a Duluth star here, Cameron Matthews. He's a guitar player I met because I shared a rehearsal space when I moved to town. And I've been wanting to get him on the show since we started on March 17th, 2024. So he's going to be playing some of his own music with his buddy Dan Munthy. We're going to have them on in the 11 o'clock hour on Stars Over the Prairie. We're broadcasting from the Zenith City by the Unsalted Sea. 237 somersaults down the hill from Bob Dylan's boyhood home, and a stone's throw away from Bob Dylan Way. If you look out one of these windows here at the Big K, KDAL, 610 AM, 103.9 FM, you can see that beautiful unsalted sea. If it's your birthday today, here is you're a Scorpio like me, fellow Scorpios. Unite. We're inviting all Scorpios to come down to Carmody's next Friday. We're going to do the doggy benefit and celebrate us as Scorpios. But if you were born today, October 26th, it's like year to be good to yourself and remove some barriers that you might have erected in your own way. Do some self-examination and learn something extremely helpful to brighten your future. A blast of energy and motivation can improve your outcome in January. Friends could become a happy distraction, which is fine in moderation. my Scorpio friends. They do nothing but distract me. Anyway, but I digress. Enjoy a dreamy home life in February. You have the chance to fix a problem at work in May that greatly improves and simplifies things for you. A difficult person might appear in June, but your quiet willpower is stronger. Have a solid, secure, and happier Scorpios that were born on October 26th. The basic Scorpio horoscope for today. You're usually not much of a joiner. If there's anyone who's comfortable going it alone, it's you. But right now, you make an exception for a truly worthy cause. Like my doggy benefit on Friday, November 1st at Carmody's Pub for Animal Allies. That needs your immediate attention and formidable skills. You won't regret lending a hand, especially when you see how much your attention is appreciated and how well it meshes with what others have to offer as well. Give till it hurts. Famous birthdays today. No greater gospel singer in America than was Mahalia Jackson. She was born in 1911 in New Orleans, passed away in 1972. But the story goes, when she performed on the march, she opened the show for Martin Luther King at the March on Washington, where also Duluth native Bob Dylan performed. She stood behind him. She had appeared with him several times. But at a certain point in his speech, Mahalia whispered in Martin Luther King's ear, "Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream." And then Martin Luther King held forth and gave his "I Gave a Dream" speech at the National Mall in Washington, D.C., which is considered to be one of the single most powerful pieces of oratory in American history. Jackie Coogan was born in 1914 in Los Angeles, California. Who's Jackie Coogan? Well, that was Uncle Fester on the Adams Show. You remember that dude. Edward Brooke. He was the first publicly elected African-American to the U.S. Senate in 1967. He was born in Washington, D.C., and he became a senator in Massachusetts, served from 67 to 1979. For those of you that remember the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the star Bob Hoskins, who's been in a ton of other movies, was born in 1942 in West Suffolk, England, passed away in 2014. I bet we've got some Charlie's Angels fans out there. Jacqueline Smith, one of the original Angels, celebrating her 79th birthday today. She was born in 1945 in Houston, Texas. Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak was born in 1946. Chicago, Illinois, celebrating 78 years on the planet today. Hillary Clinton, we all know who she was, also born in Chicago, 77 years old today. And for you diehard Viking fans out there, some might say long-suffering, let's remember that Chuck Foreman, one of my favorite running backs for the Vikes, was born in 1950 in Frederick, Maryland, where it just so happens my sister and my niece and their families live. Shout out to Sister Jackie, niece Becky, and the family. And let's not forget, in 1951, William Bootsy Collins played bass originally with James Brown until he came to fame with Parliament Funkadelic, was born in 1951. And for you country rock fans, Keith Urban's 57 years old today. He was born in New Zealand, made quite a name for himself. I believe we might have our guest on the line. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Nicole, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Well, Todd, first of all, please pronounce your last name for us. It's a beautiful name. It sounds Italian.
It is, yes. It's a fasciato.
There's no way in hell I was going to get that correct. Nicole, well, we just met this week. We are very excited to be working with you this Friday night at Carmony's Irish Pub as I celebrate my Scorpio birthday with my band, the Tilt Town Titans, featuring Al Oikri's special guest from the Big Woo, and Christopher David Hansen is going to be sitting playing some of his own songs that's sitting in with the band from 6 to 9 at Carmony's Pub, and it's going to be a benefit for your wonderful group, Animal Allies. What is your position at Animal Allies, Nicole?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you. We're so excited to team up with you guys. It's going to be so fun, and it's so needed. Any extra, ways to bring in some funds and spread our mission is so important. So thank you. But I have been with Animal Allies for about 9.5 years
Good
now.
For you.
Thank you. Yeah, I started interning there in college and then never really left, and I've kind of moved all around in different positions, but I've finally kind of landed doing humane education. So I'm the humane education manager, meaning I go into the schools and teach kids and adults about who we are, what we do, how to be responsible pet owners, and just the humane treatment of animals. And then I'm the adoption manager, so I oversee that team and helping make good matches for the animals here in our community and the people that are looking for animals. And then I do a lot of our communications and marketing and things like this, calling into radio shows.
Well, you have just a wonderful facility up there on the hill. What is your, if people are looking to adopt a dog or a cat, what are your hours for going to peruse the animals, and do people have to make an appointment ahead of time?
Yeah, so you are free to stop by anytime we're open. If you see an animal you're interested in beforehand, on our website, animalallies.net, you can always call and place a hold over the phone to guarantee they'll still be there and waiting for you if you're coming that day. But we are open Tuesday through Saturday, noon to 6, and Sundays, noon to 4. Again, like I said, animalallies.net is where you can see all of our available animals. That updates every single morning by 10:30 a.m. If somebody new has become available, which is usually the case. We've got new animals that come in up for adoption nearly every single day. So that is kind of how it works. And yeah, you swing by, you see what we've got. The cats are open for free browsing. You can kind of walk down that main hallway where all the kitties are. Post-COVID, we learned that the dogs were a lot less stressed out, having a little more calmness back in their area, not having people constantly walk through and staring at them, and we had a lot less incidents as well. So for the dogs, we've got a tablet right up front. As soon as you walk in, you can view every single dog we've got, see their photos, get some basic info, and then our adoption team will give you even more details from there and pull them out for you, so you can either take them on a walk, go in one of our Get Acquainted rooms, go play in one of our 4 different play yards. Meet and greet that way.
It's, I just, I adopted my first rescue in 2002, and I just entered the dog world, and dog mamas and papas out there. And I've done a lot of benefits over the years for different humane shelters. I got my dog, my first rescue, Blackie, from Contented Critters in Mackinac, Minnesota. I'm sure you're aware of that great group. And and I tell people, and I'm sure you are an example of it, Nicole, that when you enter the dog rescue world, people that are fostering dogs, I'm fostering little Mabel right now, you never run into a bad human being. They're all have their hearts in the right place and are doing the right thing for these critters.
Mhm. Yeah. It's hard work. It's every day, all day work. But yes, there's so many passionate people, especially up in this area, that are doing everything they can for for all the animals. And, again, that post-COVID world, things are more expensive. People don't have as much, free income. So we do see a lot more animals coming through that people just can't afford to care for anymore, whether it's the price of food or those trips to the vet, things like that. So, yeah, if you've been, people are thinking of adopting or fostering, now is such a good time to get in and help, because there is definitely an influx in dogs and cats that need some extra help and need a place to hang out and people to love them until they find their next forever family.
How many dogs and cats, what is your capacity up there?
Yeah, so we can safely at one time house about 28 to 30 dogs and about 60 cats, and that's on site. Again, that can, if there's puppies, you can double up on a kennel, or kittens. So fosters are a huge piece of our mission. It's not uncommon that we have 140 to 160 animals in care at a time. Yeah, and that's thanks in large part to foster families that will help if we do, get litters of kittens or puppies or longer-term dogs that need to get a break from that shelter environment, because it's stressful and it's really hard on a young, active, playful dog. So yes, fosters really help expand the capacity and allow us to help more animals at once.
Nicole, what is the process to become a foster mom or dad?
Yeah, if you just visit our website, animalallies.net/foster, you fill out just a basic little survey of who you are, what you're looking to do, who you're interested in, and then you come on site, you do a quick 15 to 20-minute training just so that you kind of know our protocols and what it means to be a foster. We get you all set up in the system, and then you get added to our big foster email list. And when anything comes through that is a fit for what you were interested in fostering, whether it's adult cats, kittens, adult dogs, puppies, you'll get a message. And if you think it's a good fit for you, you go ahead and come scoop them up, and we set you up with everything you need: food, toys, litter boxes, crates, whatever it is. And then, we take care of all of their medical needs, pretty much all of their needs, until they are ready to walk out the door. And again, if you have some animals in your home, that means there's just more open kennels at the shelter that we can help some additional friends.
Now, when we had, the hurricanes and the twisters and things from down south, do you end up picking up some dogs that end up from, disasters like that end up in Duluth at Animal Allies?
So we have in the past, yes. They've really, after Katrina, they learned a lot in, what happens in the results of a hurricane, because unfortunately a lot of animals kind of temporarily ended up at the shelter and then ended up getting sent all over the country due to the spacing thing. So now, thanks to, like the ASPCA, Best Friends, and these big organizations, they've really figured out, okay, if we're going to send animals away, it's going to be dogs and cats that have been in the shelter for quite a while, and we know that they're looking for a home, so that the ones that are temporarily going to land there and probably do have a family that's going to come back for them have a local spot to hang out until their families can find them. So yeah, luckily not as huge of a need when those things happen, because they can kind of go not quite as far. There's not as many, since they've really figured out a good routine for that, so people can reunite with their pets, which is really, really cool.
Nicole, if I was to come over to your place for coffee, what sort of animals would be running around your house?
I have, oh man, what are we at now? We've got 3 dogs.
I knew it.
I had quite a few kitties. I have fostered over, at this point I've got to be at about 80 animals in total that I've fostered in all of my time at Animal Allies. So yes, it's usually a full house for sure, whether they're permanent or temporary.
Well, when did you fall in love with the critters? When you were a little girl?
Yeah, definitely. When I was young, I really always loved animals, and I was always interested in animals. And it's a really fun story. When I was in 7th grade, the Humane Education Manager, which is the job role I hold at Animal Allies right now, came to my 7th grade class, and we did a service learning project, and I kind of voted for the whole class. I said, we should really do something for animals. And luckily they were on board, and we did this whole project with Animal Allies, and I never forgot her and the things she taught me, and she always kind of sparked that passion for me. And when I was in college, she was there doing the first Pet Away Stress event, which we do every month now at UMD, where we bring therapy animals on site for the students. And I saw her, and we reconnected, and we talked, and that's how I kind of ended up interning at the shelter. And all these years later, it's kind of come full circle where I have her job now, and I'm out in the classrooms teaching. So it was really cool, and I kind of think about that all the time when I'm out at a class and talking to kids, that maybe the next me is sitting there and is going to come take my spot someday.
That is a wonderful story, Nicole, from Animal Allies. If you can't make our fundraiser, my Scorpio birthday fundraiser with the Tilltown Titans, Christopher David Hansen and Al Oykreed, is Friday from 6 to 9 at Carmony's Irish Pub downtown. All the proceeds will be going to Animal Allies. We will have door prizes. It will be a lot of fun. Go down and meet some really cool people. Nicole, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Friday. In the meantime, if you can't make it, just go to animalallies.net, hit that donate button. They do God's work up there, and they're feeding a lot of dogs and kitties right now. They're paying for the vets. They need food. They need money. So take care of these people. They're doing the hard work for the rest of us. Nicole, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you, and keep up the great work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to it, and thank you again for putting this all together. All of us at Animal Allies and all of the animals definitely appreciate it.
Anytime. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
You're listening to Stars Over the Prairie. We're going to hear from some people that keep this show on the air, and then an interview with Tab Lavin after that. If you're looking for a great hang in downtown Duluth, I highly suggest Carmony's Irish Pub. They're located at 308 East Superior Street, open Tuesday through Sunday. The host and hostess are Eddie and Liz. Eddie is a retired Chicago cop. If he happens to be in the club when you're there, talk to him. He's got more stories than I do. They've also got a great jam session every Tuesday night from 8 to 11 with Bruce Woodman. So if you're a musician, tried and true, that has been out there playing and just want to go try out some new stuff, go down and hang out with Bruce and the crew. Or if you're just up and coming, bring your horn or your stringed instrument or just want to sing, go sit in with Bruce Woodman every Tuesday night at Carmony's Pub, 308 East Superior Street.
Every day deserves a superior beer. Earth Rider Brewery's decorated brewers hand-select hops that lend citrus notes to the crisp and easy-drinking Superior Pale Ale. Visit Earth Rider Brewery's Cedar Lounge Tap Room on the Working Harbor in Superior for their award-winning flagship and seasonal brews on tap and to go. To find out much more about Earth Rider Brewery events, join the mailing list and locate Earth Rider Beer near you at earthrider.beer. Hold fast.
And tonight over there at the Earth Rider Fairgrounds, they got a thing called the North End Nightmare featuring Big Wave Dave, Baby Eyes, Timothy Martin, and the New Norm. It's their Halloween bash tonight at Earth Rider. You're going to really enjoy yourselves. A beautiful night to be rocking outside with that Halloween vibe. Here's the interview I did with Minnesota-born guitarist Tab Lavin. I think you're really going to enjoy the story. Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. For those that have been listening to my show for the last 10 years, 10th anniversary this month, I might add, you know I love my fellow musicians, and especially my fellow musicians that were born and bred in the North Star state of Minnesota. And we've got a great guitarist and songwriter and singer on tonight, a fellow by the name of Tab Lavin. We're going to talk about his time in Minneapolis, coming of age, his move to Nashville, and how the hell he ended up playing guitar for Art Garfunkel of course, the great duo Simon and Garfunkel. We're going to start with a little piece of Tab playing a song you all know with Art Garfunkel on the balcony of Art's apartment in New York City, and then we'll get right in with Tab. But let's listen to this little bit first.
rosemary and thyme. Remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. Tell her to make me a cambric shake. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Without no seam nor needlework, then she'll be a true love of mine. Tell her to find me an acre of land.
Tab Laven, we've got to thank our mutual friend Corinne Thies for getting you on the show. She's been bugging me for a couple of years, and I'm glad she kept on me. And it's the only reason why it's taken so long is I'm a very disorganized human being. But it's great to finally be talking with you, Tab. How's the weather in Nashville tonight?
It's just a little cool and a little sprinkly here and there, but spring has already sprung here in Nashville. We've had some nice 70-degree days already. So the one thing I like about living down here is we have all four seasons, but the longest season is the nicer season. We get snow once in a while, but it looks beautiful. We take a few pictures, and then it melts by the afternoon. So no need to own a shovel down here or a snowblower. So I don't miss it.
Well, good for you, Tab. I was visiting my buddy Billy Alcorn in Nashville a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I know Billy.
Oh, yeah, and we had a great time. What a lovely city. What, not only the great music history, but the Civil War history and more. Yep. And the people, as you know, are so friendly down there. So it's got to be a great place to hang out and work. But before we talk about how you got to Nashville, tell us how you started playing guitar. Who was your first influence?
My first influence on guitar were my uncles. They all played guitar. My grandfather, on all on my mother's side, they all just had fun playing guitar. My one uncle played banjo and guitar, and I was just totally mesmerized by him. Every time we'd get together, he'd bring his banjo, and the family would sing along, and that got me hooked. And then as I got into my I guess I was about 10 or 11 years old, I started playing banjo myself, and then just became a huge fan of John Hartford. About right around I guess I was probably about 11 years old, 1966, and the Gentle on My Mind was his song that he wrote for Glenn Campbell, and the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour, and that just inspired me to really stick with the banjo, and then at the same time playing guitar. And then I also was a big fan of the Beatles, of course, and Simon and Garfunkel, and James Taylor, and a local favorite up there, Michael Johnson, who I got to know very well. And those were really my early influences as far as playing. And mainly I kind of eventually graduated just playing guitar the whole time. Though I still do play banjo. And actually, when I was in Minneapolis, still in high school, I was doing studio work down at Cookhouse and Sound 80. And because there weren't very many banjo players in Minnesota at that time, if you can imagine.
Probably you must have bumped into Jim Tordoff at some point, a great banjo player.
Yeah, he was a great banjo player. And so I think between he and I, we were both kind of covering all the studio work banjo-wise down there. But I played on some Levi county seat commercials and some snowmobile commercials, whatever, for at Cookhouse, mainly for Dale Menton at that time.
Sure.
But Jim Tordoff was also, and I looked up to him because he was a better banjo player than I was, and I just was kind of in awe of him as well. And I'm not sure, I never really knew him that well, and I'm assuming that he's still playing somewhere up there.
He's around. He's having a bit of physical disability, so I'm not exactly sure if he's playing steadily. But I interviewed him when I did my book with Rick Shevchik, Blood in the Tracks, the Minnesota musicians behind Dylan's masterpiece, because he was the guy. He got a call from Chris Weber, who you remember, who ran the podium, to show up at Sound 80 Studio to do a recording with a fella that wasn't mentioned by name, who, of course, turned out to be Bob Dylan. It was, Peter Ostrusko, the buddy you played with in Glory Line. It was his first time in a recording studio with his great all-time hero, Bob Dylan. I had the pleasure of opening up for John Hartford in St. Cloud. Jeez,
lucky you.
Just a year or two before he passed. And people that aren't old enough to remember the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, how good he was, what a great songwriter he was. He also, of course, was a steamboat captain. And I've got actually a record, a CD in my desk that he signed to me that I bought at that performance. He also had great calligraphy.
Yeah.
And they were off, and he literally passed less than 2 years later, but I know they were on their way to the Baraboo, Wisconsin, to the Ringling Barnum and Bailey Circus Museum, because of course, John loved Americana. Now, here's something you might not know, Tab. I found when I was doing my research about the great Bill Hinckley. Now, you probably bumped into Bill Hinckley and Judy Larson at some point.
Yeah, I didn't know them. I knew who they were, but they were definitely around that whole Dinkytown area. The Union. What was the coffee house?
There was originally it was the Scholar Coffee House, and then the Whole Coffee House.
The Whole,
and then of course the Extent. But here's what I found out when I wrote an obit for Mr. Hinckley in the Star Tribune. John Hartford and Bill Hinckley went to the same grade school in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Which explains something. I'm not sure what, but I don't know if they went exactly at the same time, although they were about the same age. But two of the greatest American musicians ever. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Okay, so you're getting you're starting to play around Minneapolis. You're starting to play at Sound 80, Cookhouse, doing demos, I'm sure. And back when there was a lot of work for ad agencies, a lot of ads were being cut in town with musicians like yourself and toured off, and of course the great Lonnie Knight, who I'm sure you picked with at some sessions. So what bands did you start playing with?
Well, I just when I guess I had just turned 19 or 20, and actually really didn't play in a band. I was trying to put something together, and then I had an opportunity to go out to Los Angeles. A good friend of my parents named Keith Christensen. He was a music manager. And
I know who Keith was.
Yeah. Keith was like my mentor. He just took me under his wing, and I worked at his Projects 4 management office with Doug Lee. I don't know if you knew Doug Lee at the time. He was a big record promo guy. But just in knowing... what's that?
Yeah, I knew the name Doug Lee. Now, who else did Keith work with back then?
He was managing Michael Johnson. He was managing Mark Gaddis at that time. And then Mary McGregor, who was from St. Paul. And Mary was a background singer for Peter Yarrow, Peter, Paul, and Mary. And Peter had written a bunch of female-type songs, like a side project, and he asked Mary if she would go in the studio and record them, which she did. And one of those songs that he wrote, most people don't know that he wrote the song Torn Between Two Lovers. It was written by Peter Yarrow. Yeah, and she went and recorded it, and somehow the record got to somebody out in Los Angeles, and they just kind of did a trial run and released it to some stations, and it just became a huge hit, and it went all the way to number 1 in 1977.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went out there as a Keith just called. If you want to come out, she's going to do the Tonight Show, and you can come to the rehearsal and then go to the taping and the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. So, and he had just bought a new car in Minneapolis. It's kind of a long story. He had just bought a brand new car in Minneapolis, but he wanted me to drive his car out to L.A. for him so he didn't have to rent cars, which I did, and drove out there and ended up going to the rehearsal. And I had my guitar with me, and in the rehearsal, the guitar player was an electric guitar player, and he said, well, this is kind of all acoustic guitar bass, and I don't play acoustic guitar. And Mary, who kind of knew me a little bit, jokingly said, Tab, you play acoustic guitar, don't you? And I said, yeah, I actually do. And I had already heard some of the songs from an old acetate that Keith had given me. When I say old, they used to do record acetates as opposed to like demo tapes and stuff, and then just play it. And so I had the acetate of most of her songs from that first album, and I had already learned all the guitar parts. So I just went and got my guitar, which I had with me, and sat in at the rehearsal. And I believe it was 2 days later, I'm sitting next to Doc Severinsen on the Tonight Show, and he's counting off "Torn Between Two Lovers," and so that was really my first gig, was playing in the band with Mary McGregor on the Tonight Show. And
is that can that be? Can you find that clip on YouTube?
No. I've looked for it, and it just does not exist. And at that time, I guess they would record over some of the old shows, or some of the tapes got destroyed. Yeah, and I've searched in vain for it, but I was never on camera. You know, you're over in the orchestra. It didn't have the bands on stage with the singer anyway. Right. So, but anyway, so then I ended up playing with her for 4 or 5 years and traveled the world based on that one number one hit. She had a few other smaller hits. So that was, and then after that, I moved back to Minneapolis, and I started a band with the ex-lead singer of the Daisy Dillman Band, Pat Frederick.
We love Pat.
Yeah, Pat's great. He and I started a duo, and it quickly turned into a band called Samoa, and that was kind of went from being kind of a James Taylor instrumental, Jean-Luc Ponty, because he was playing violin, and I was doing acoustic guitar, and then it became kind of a at that time. What do you call it? That light jazz thing, jazz fusion, I guess. Back then, it was kind of popular, and I think both Pat and I were in it for about a year, and then I moved on, and he moved on, and but it was a successful band for a while. I think Steve Faison was the lead singer, and I think even Ricky Peterson played piano for a bit in it, and Michael Hurley on drums, and it was a cool little band. And then after that, I played on and off with Michael Johnson when he would do performances. I played with him at the Guthrie and at the Northrop Auditorium and Orchestra Hall, and played on his second record, For All You Mad Musicians. Played banjo on that record, just on one song with him. And did quite a few shows with him, just as the second guitarist and backup singer with him. And then we, Pat and I, got back together to start our duo up again, and actually played for 2 or 3 years doing the duo all around Minnesota, or Minneapolis rather, and Minnesota. We were like up at Arrowhead Resort, whatever that is, up in Alexandria, and places like that. And then we joined forces with Mary Jane Alm and her band. And that was a fun band. It had Scooter Nelson on drums and Brian Peters on guitar, and then after that I played with Lori Lane for about 4 years.
Wow!
And that's So it's,
you and I are about the same age, and all of these names, I know a lot of these folks. Of course, Mary Jane Alma's still playing. I got to tell you a fun little story. You've been in the music biz about as long as I have. It sounds like we're about the same age. But I remember when musicians get around and talk about reviews they've gotten, and most of the time we're all dissing music critics. Mark Gaddis put out a record back, vinyl record in the late 70s, early 80s. He put out that same record with a different cover a few years later, and it got reviewed, and I don't know if it was Sweet Potato or Sweet Peaches, but this always gave me a great glimpse into the mind of a music critic. Although it was the same record that he had put out 2 years before, the reviewer said, I really enjoyed this record, and it's a vast improvement over his last one. We've got Tab the whole show tonight. We're going to talk music all day and night long here on the Wall of Power Radio Hour, and very excited to hear how he got to be anointed and be Art Garfunkel's guitar player. So stick around. We'll be back with two more segments with Mr. Tab Lavin. Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This is your host, Paul Metsa. We've got Tab Lavin, guitarist, Minnesota born and bred, musician now living in Nashville. Say, Tab, I forgot to ask you, where were you born? What town did you grow up in?
I was born in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And then we lived in Minnetonka, and I went to Wayzata my whole school career from kindergarten up to Wayzata High School, barely graduated, I might add. How I pulled that off, I have no idea, because all I cared about was playing my guitar.
Right.
And I didn't really, I didn't go to college at all. I didn't really go to college. Yeah, I didn't go to college. So, I got the thing with Mary McGregor right away. So I got lucky on that.
What did your mom and dad do?
My mom was just a mom and a housewife, and my dad, he ran a company called Duffy Paper Company. They're down on Washington Avenue, which is now I think condos.
I used to drive by it all the time. I know exactly where it was.
Yeah, he was like sales manager, then he became vice president, then he was president, and retired doing that. And now he's still around. He's 96 years old in a few weeks. I'm actually going to fly up to Minnesota for his birthday. He lives up outside of Brainerd in Cross Lake, Minnesota.
It was fantastic.
So I'm going to celebrate his 96. My mom passed away probably 6-7 years ago.
Well, your dad's going to love to see, and I'm sure he's proud of your career. I remember when I was young buck playing guitar, and my dad always would take me aside and, I said, I'm thinking about becoming a professional musician. And Dad would go, well, it's a good avocation, but it's not a great vocation. Now, 40-some years later, I think he had a point.
Yeah.
But,
well...
Okay. So now it must have been, that's like kind of the supersonic on steroids career trajectory to go not long after high school to being on the freaking Tonight Show, for God's sakes. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. What was it like being backstage on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show?
That was... it was like surreal, because I used to watch that as a kid, and I loved Johnny Carson. I loved his humor, and every night watching Johnny Carson, and there I am. When you go in those sound stages, they're just big cavernous buildings, and the sets are all pushed off to the side. So when they do the show, it all comes and links up together, and it's all kind of in the middle of this huge sound stage warehouse, and they bring the bleachers in, and it's totally whacked out when you see it, and I remember walking around. We got there early, and remember just walking around, and I can't remember, because I did a lot of those. I did like the Dinah Shore show and Mike Douglas and the Merv Griffith show. So I'm kind of probably confusing all those, because it would just be me on acoustic guitar. She wouldn't take the whole band with her on a lot of these things. The Tonight Show was the band, but with the Tonight Show band. But the other thing is she would just bring me along, and I'd sit off camera and play acoustic guitar, and she'd sing. Excuse me. And but it was cool just to kind of go and look behind the Hollywood Squares set, where they all sat, and each cubicle behind that you couldn't see on TV, but there'd be half-empty drinks with limes in it and ashtrays full of cigarette butts, and it's like they were partying back then. It was just pretty wacky to see, and the old Wheel of Fortune set, and that was the coolest part for me, just to see all the stuff that you've watched for years, and to be able to actually sit in some of the seats, where these stars would sit.
Well, I'm sure there was one more than one empty cocktail plastic cup by Paul Lynde's seat. He was my favorite.
Oh my God, yeah. But it was hilarious because I'm sure these guys were just half in the bag when they're doing the show. Just judging by the amount of plastic cups with straws in them, empty. But and then to be behind the scenes, and I remember I was in the doorway, standing next to the doorway, waiting. I think I was waiting for somebody to come by and get me, and the door opened, and it was Johnny Carson, and he walked out and just stood next to me because he was waiting for somebody to come by and get him, and he was just in makeup, and he just looked at me, and I just kind of nervously shook my head, and he just said hi, and then he was gone, So that was my only brush with him, which was pretty incredible. I was just like speechless, like there he is,
I remember an interview with Johnny Carson, and he was always so impeccably dressed, and he said once he put on his trousers for the show, he would not sit down until he did his monologue and then sat down behind the desk, and I thought that's a professional.
Absolutely.
So now, what is? Are you in touch at all with Mary McGregor?
Yeah, I talk to her every once in a while. We've done a few shows with Art. I've been out in San Luis Obispo at the college out there, and she's in. I don't think she came to Santa Barbara, but I've been out there twice doing shows, and she would come with some of her friends, and we're still friends, and stay in touch. I think we're friends on Facebook, and she's married and lives on a horse ranch up outside of San Luis Obispo.
How cool! Now, okay, so the big question: how did you end up being the guitar player for the great Art Garfunkel?
Well, I said earlier that I learned how to play guitar on Simon & Garfunkel records, just lifting that needle up, and this is before YouTube and all that. You had to learn the hard way, and it was probably the best way to learn too. It's just determination to learn these songs and no visual. You weren't able to look at it on YouTube or anything, so you just had to learn by ear, which is how I learned how to play guitar. And I think while I was playing with Lori Line, I was at home watching TV by myself, and this show came on. I think it was on PBS, and it was Art Garfunkel with his band. It was like an hour-long special, and Eric Weisberg was playing guitar at that time with him. And
wow,
and I remember watching the show, and they did a close-up of Eric playing, and I out loud, I swear this is true, out loud to myself, I said, "That's my gig."
Wow!
Because I thought I can play it better than he can, because I knew these songs through and through, and at that time I knew nobody associated in his world whatsoever. He's a New Yorker, and nobody I knew had any connection to him. And that was like in 1997, and then in '99 I moved to Nashville, got a writing deal, and which really didn't come to anything, but I met a singer-songwriter down there, was introduced to this guy, and I said, so what are you doing? What do you have any hits or anything? He said, well, right now I'm in the studio with Art Garfunkel. He came in from New York, and we're recording here, and I'm working on some songs with him, and right away I went, wow, is there any way I can go with you I'd love to meet him because I'm a huge fan of his. And he just said, no, he's not really like that, and he just doesn't like people around when he's recording. And So I said, okay, well, that's cool. And realizing this is my only chance, I said, can I give you my name and number just in case there's a situation where I can just show up? If he's like out somewhere, I can just be a germ and go up and say hi, whatever.
Hey,
said,
let me jump in here, Tab. Germ. I heard that term when I was in Nashville. We'll talk to the people out there in the Wall of Power radio land that came, Loretta Lynn, and there was something about backstage about germs, and she mispronounced it as germs, and that's referred to, Billy Alcorn told me this, that people that are trying to get in a star's face or something like that. Am I correct with that?
Yep. You are correct.
I haven't heard it since Nashville. Beautiful. Anyway, so
yeah, that's what it means. Well, so anyway, so I say, is there any way I can give you my name and number? And if you ever hear that he's looking for a guitar player, I would love to be able to just put my name in the hat and have a chance to audition for him. And he goes, well, okay, just kind of blew it off. I said, okay, give me your, how the old Nashville two-step. Oh yeah, sure, I'll give it to him. And so I got like a napkin out of the kitchen where we were at and just wrote my name and just my cell number, and he stuck it in his shirt pocket. And I said goodbye, and later that day, I swear to God, the phone rang, and it's this friend that I had met, Buddy, is his name, Buddy Montlock. And he said, you're not going to believe this, but when I went to the studio after I left you, the first thing Art said to me was, do you know any guitar players in town that might be interested in doing this gig?
Wow.
And I swear, it happened exactly like that. And he goes, well, as a matter of fact, and he reached in his pocket and took out this napkin. He said, I just met this guy today, and he said he would love to have a chance to audition for you.
Oh, fantastic.
And Art took it, and 2 days later the phone rings, and the voice is, Tab, this is Art Garfunkel. I heard that you're interested in maybe auditioning for me. I mean, it was that stupidly simple.
Wow.
And I just, from me saying that in Minneapolis, like, that's my gig, I believe I just sent it out in the universe, and it came around, and it hit him, and like it was meant to be. The planets just all clicked into place, and just a few years ago, I read an interview where the interviewer asked Art, how did you meet your guitar player? And Art said, I don't know. I guess we were just on the same wavelength or something. It just clicked. And
that's like the musical equivalent of.
For more than 80 years.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Stars Over the Prairie. We air every week from 10 a.m. to noon on the Big KDAL, 610 AM, 103.9 FM. If you got an event coming up, or you got a business that want to get in front of a very committed audience for really reasonable advertising rates, you're going to want to be on Stars Over the Prairie. Shoot me an email to my personal account, paul@paulmetsa.com. And Metsa is spelled like the New York Mets with an A at the end. Here's a couple of words from some cool people that keep our shows on the air. If you're looking for a great hang in downtown Duluth, I highly suggest Carmody's Irish Pub. They're located at 308 East Superior Street, open Tuesday through Sunday. The host and hostess are Eddie and Liz. Eddie is a retired Chicago cop. If he happens to be in the club when you're there, talk to him. He's got more stories than I do. They've also got a great jam session every Tuesday night from 8 to 11 with Bruce Woodman. So if you're a musician, tried and true, that has been out there playing and just want to go try out some new stuff, go down and hang out with Bruce and the crew. Or if you're just up and coming, bring your horn or your stringed instrument or just want to sing, go sit in with Bruce Woodman every Tuesday night at Carmody's Pub, 308 East Superior Street.
Every day deserves a superior beer. Earth Rider Brewery's decorated brewers hand-select hops that lend citrus notes to the crisp and easy-drinking Superior Pale Ale. Visit Earth Rider Brewery's Cedar Lounge Taproom on the Working Harbor in Superior for their award-winning flagship and seasonal brews on tap and to go. To find out much more about Earth Rider Brewery events, join the mailing list and locate Earthrider beer near you at earthrider.beer. Hold fast.
Tonight at the Earthrider Fairgrounds, they got a big North End Nightmare Halloween bash featuring the very popular and rockin' Big Wave Dave, Baby Eyes, Timothy Martin, and The New Norm. Celebrate Halloween 1 week ahead of time over there at our friends at Earthrider Beer. You know what, guys? Just to break into a tune, we've got a buddy, Cam, my buddy, one of the first guys I met when I moved to Duluth 3 years ago. Cam Matthews on guitar. His buddy, Dan Munthy on keyboards. Just, you guys sounded so great when you were warming up. Just play a tune and then we'll figure out who you guys are after the song.
All right, sounds good.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's some blessings around you ever get. Put your best foot forward. Cleaning house, got to help in a bowl. You'll never let it go. Marie, I know you meant well. I know you meant well. Marie, I know you meant well. I know you meant well. I need to give it a rest. If you haven't yet, you can settle for less. Fake diamonds in a modest dress. Marie, won't you come back down and set your feet on solid ground? Hit the sails, they've gotten you hooked. Shopping bags in each hand. Brand new necklace and a dress to wear tonight. Got everything just right. Marie, know you meant well. Lord, I know you meant well. Marie, I know you meant well. I know you meant well. I'll ever give it out. If you haven't yet, you can settle for love. Fake diamonds in a modest dress. Marie, won't you come back down? Set your feet on solid ground. Marie,
Hi, guys. Very, very nice. Cameron Matthew and Dan Munthy. We are going to have you guys on again because we're cut short today because the football Bulldogs are coming on 11:30. But quickly, how did you guys meet? What's the name of this outfit? I know you guys are rocking two different bands.
Yep. First band is Life Parade. The other band is Deepfake 5.
And which one was this?
This one is Life Parade.
Okay. Where is Life Parade playing next?
We are at RT's on November 23rd.
Okay. Cool.
And, yeah.
Do you guys have a website? People track you down?
We have a Bandcamp.
Okay.
It should just be bandcamp.com/Life Parade. And then otherwise, we got a Facebook page. Just Google it. You'll find it.
For those of you, these guys, they good-looking guys. Cam Matthews looks like a British Secret Service agent. Dan Munthy looks like he could be playing with Trampled by Turtles. He's got the big beard and the big dude. I wouldn't want to wrestle him. But how did you guys meet?
We were wrestling.
Yeah. Story old as time.
Yeah. No, seriously, how long have you been playing together?
Since 2021, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he...
About 3 years. He was auditioning or come to fill a space in our band Deepfake 5, and then we ended up wanting to play Life Parade as well. So we got two different visions, and as long as we can keep that up, we got two different bands.
We have two bands with 5 people, but it's the same 5 that
Okay.
just rotate positions. It's kind of strange, but it works.
I always like to reference when people talk about how many people in their bands. Paul Desmond, the great alto saxophonist, for Dave Brubeck, his autobiography was titled, "How Many Guys Are in This Quartet?" You guys have a quintet. Let's hear another one.
All right.
What was the name of the first one?
That song's called Marie.
Okay, and what's this one?
This is End of the Line.
Let's do End of the Line, guys.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Have you found true belief? 'Cause as you led it to your salvation in your guidance, I'm whole. On your command, I will give you my soul. Educated by the cross, and my father was a clergyman. In your wisdom, I'm at peace. A ranking member of the Huddle Police. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Speak to me, Lord, so I can ease my worried mind. Make me a sheep, make me a tool to the end of the line. Preach with my left, with my right, I'll build a shrine. I'll be a tool, I'll be a fool to the end of the line. Heretics gonna burn. I gotta make us so they think. Hey Mary, full of grace, they don't deserve to look upon her face. I got faith to spare, and out of my eye, I keep to ask what you're gonna do at the end of the line. So don't ask for proof, I need no sign. Get down on your knees, little sinner, before you hit the end of the line. Oh, little baby, holy water will set you free. Oh, little baby, oh, sinners, don't listen to me. Speak to me, Lord, so I can ease my worried mind. Make me see, make me a tool to the end of the line. Preach if I left, with my right, I'll build a shrine. I'll be a tool, I'll be a fool to the end of the line.
Life Parade, yeah, that's Big Dan there on the keyboard. We've got Cam Matthews on the guitar. They both sing like birds. It's nice having Dan when you got a guy in the band that sings as high as
There's
Cam
a lot of birds
does.
that don't sing well, you know.
you guys both sing well. Are you both Duluth guys?
I think so.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
am.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So when what was when you guys go, yeah, geez, I think we can. You play together. What's the first time you sat down and wrote? One guy brought in the chords, one guy brought in the lyrics, or do you do it to kind of you commingle and work it out both those things together?
I think we kind of, I think we each kind of do songs on our own and bring them to practice, and then everybody kind of puts their flavor on them. And, just keep playing them, and eventually they develop, and you get something good, hopefully.
That's a fun process.
Yeah.
Make it to the band. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let the band. I was just talking to somebody a show or two ago about that. Just I bring my songs and I just let the band figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm not Nelson Riddle with Frank Sinatra trying to organize the 40-piece orchestra. So, what, Dan? What are your musical influences?
My mom.
Really? Okay.
Well,
tell us
yeah,
about your mom.
my mom was a music therapist. She played organ in the church. But she practiced and practiced and practiced, and that's kind of where I get my drive from. So I just feel that all the time.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean,
Does she used to sing you to sleep at night?
oh, of course.
Yeah. And Cam, how about you? What's your influences?
Pretty much anything upbeat. Anything upbeat or sad and pretty, which is that's pretty wide variety of things. But
you know, when I heard you guys warming up, I was hearing Harry Nilsson.
yeah,
I don't know. I love Harry. It was kind of reminding me of it's kind of that quirky, poppy, melodic.
if I had to say one group, I would say the Beatles probably.
Yeah,
Major influence on me.
I've heard of them. Where are they from?
They're up and comers.
West Duluth.
Yeah.
West Duluth band,
West
right?
Duluth, yeah. Two harbors.
Yeah.
Say, you know what? Because we have such a short amount of time, play another song. You guys sound great.
All right.
You're listening to Stars Over the Prairie. This is Paul Metsa, and I love bringing this kind of homegrown music to the airwaves out there. If you're a cool band, a musician of any sort, just get a hold of me. Shoot me an email at paul@paulmetsa.com. I've been lucky to have guys like Al Sparhawk and Charlie Parr and more on the show, and this is the kind of stuff you get to hear every Saturday from 10 to noon on Stars Over the Prairie. Take it away, Life Parade.
Lay me down to rest. I'm a peaceful, and I would have guessed, and I made peace with my son. I said my goodbye. I've held everyone. Won't you turn out the light? Please don't wake me till dawn. Won't you turn out the light? Let me rest on my own tonight. Ashes back to the ground. My wife's grieving, but she'll come around. I'll miss her most of all. Lying in the grass, dancing in the hall. Won't you turn out the light? Please don't wake me till dawn. Won't you turn out the light? Let me rest on my own tonight. When the lights finally die, the stars fall from the sky. At the end of all things, I finally found some peace. I'm not worried. I don't mind. I'm not worried. Not a thing.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was Live Parade featuring Dan Munthy and Cameron Matthews. I want to remind you we are celebrating my birthday next Friday, November 1st. I want to invite all my Scorpio friends out there. Scorpios love to celebrate the whole entire month. We will be at Carmody's Irish Pub, 308 East Superior Street, in a benefit for Animal Allies. You can donate ahead of time to animalallies.net. I will be with my new band, the Tilt Town Titans, Feeler and Taylor, Shikes on bass, George Ellsworth on keyboards, and Ian Hopp on drums. We will also have Al Oikry from the Big Woo joining us on keyboard, and a special appearance by songwriter Christopher David Hansen. You can follow me at paulmetsa.com. Next week here on Stars Over the Prairie, we're going to go a little political with my candidate for District 8, Jen Schultz. We're going to have her on for the hour. Stay tuned. You can listen to podcasts at KDL610.com. Thanks for listening. Like my dad used to tell me, remember to be kind and make someone happy. Why don't we, we'll have Live Parade play us out here, take us to the football game.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Two.
Oh.
Right?
Let's do it a little bit longer.
A little bit longer?
Yeah.
I thought
this happens frequently.
I thought you were doing millennial. Okay.
1,
okay.
2, 3, 4. Now my gestures, words to speak.
No whispers in the home, a quiet home, but these words could speak for hours of a time I'm most forgotten. I could be like a friend to you.
Your Twin Ports home for Twins baseball. KDAL 103.9, W28 FBFM, and 610 KDAL AM Duluth Superior, a Midwest communication station.